7.6 billion. That's the number of people who are currently living on Earth as of 2018. Earth's population hit 7 billion in March of 2012. As you can see here, the Earth's population has been rising tremendously. There's an average of 1 billion people gained every 13 years. It's estimated that by 2050, the world population can reach between 9 and 10 billion. Well, clearly population is growing fast, but Earth is so huge and has so many resources, there's no way there can be any major problems. Or could there? The growth of human population concerns many scientists for several reasons, one of which being how many people the Earth can sustain. Basing off of the growth shown before, the human population can get well past 11 million after 2050. However, it's actually quite wrong to assume that for one reason. Fertility rates are declining. 1960, the average amount of children born in the United States was just 4 to 5 per woman. Going to 2016, this average has lowered to 1 to 2 children per woman. But that's just the United States, a developed country. Surely the developing countries have high fertility rates, right? Well, in Haiti 1960, the fertility rate was about 6 children per woman. That's a lot of children. In 2016, this has lowered down to just 2 children. In Bangladesh 1960, the fertility rate was about 7 children per woman. However, in 2016, it also lowered down to 2 children. With the declining birth rate, Earth is estimated to eventually balance out and maintain a constant population of 9 to 10 billion people. So that's that. There's nothing to worry about, right? Well, not really. To see the problems, we have to look deeper into countries already facing overpopulation. Developing countries. I'm going to use India to show the effects of overpopulation on a country, as India is quite infamous for its overpopulation. Several factors have caused India to become more overpopulated. First of all, poverty in India causes lack of access to birth control. On top of that, many poor families have more children just to have more chances at making more money, which just doesn't work out. Also, like many other Asian countries, sons are highly valued, and women are pressured to have children until a son is produced. But what are the effects of this overpopulation in India? Well, overpopulation plays a role in poverty and illiteracy. The majority of overpopulation comes from poor families, which are much more likely to be illiterate. In 2001, 35% of India was illiterate. In 2011, this went down to 25%. Although that might seem great, it isn't so great when you account for India's exponential population growth. In 2001, the population of India was 800 million. In 2017, the population rose to 1.3 billion. Let me put how much illiterate people there are in India alone in perspective for you. There's about 1 billion people in the whole world who are illiterate. India alone accounts for 28.9% of the world's illiterate people. That's about 289 million people. Anyways, that covers illiteracy, but what about poverty? Income distribution in India is, well, to put it simply, terrible. As the population of India increases, specifically the poor, the worse it gets. As you can see here, the poor 50% of the country gets only 15% of the national income. The top 10% class of the population gets 55%. In that top 10%, 1% of the population gets 22% of the national income. I know I just threw a bunch of percentages at you, so let me sum it up. The rich are incredibly rich, and the poor are incredibly poor. So clearly, overpopulation isn't too great when it comes to economics and education. But what about the quality of one's life? Due to the main source of income as well as food relying on agriculture, as well as the billion-plus people in India, they need to make more land available. In order to do so, they cut down trees. Deforestation. Deforestation is rooted in overpopulation due to the necessity for more land for agriculture. However, it takes negative effects on the lower class who rely on resources from the forests. With the poor taking around 60% of the population, that's a lot of people taking hits from the problems of overpopulation. Now, I only talked about India in favor for time, but this idea can be applied to other developing countries. A few other countries facing similar overpopulation issues are Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Clearly, overpopulation isn't too great of a thing, but it brings up a question: is anything being done to help? There are organizations attempting to help, such as the United Nations Population Fund, the Audubon Society, the World Watch Institute, and many more. However, not much is really being done. Overpopulation is a tricky thing that can't just be quickly solved. Really, for now, there are just ideas for better maintenance of population. One idea is making sure sexual health care is widely accessible. Over 150 million people worldwide don't have access to contraception. Another idea is environmental protection. A population can grow as much as its assets, so humanity will have to stray away from destroying the environment for resources. Research has to be put into finding sustainable resources so that we don't damage the environment. One idea is making sure that everyone has access to education. Many suggest that overpopulation is a result of ignorance and inaccessibility. Who knows, if everyone was educated in reproduction, perhaps overpopulation wouldn't be as big of an issue as it is. Finally, the individual. Obviously, overpopulation can't be solved by one person. However, if every individual was willing to try and solve the problems of overpopulation, then maybe it wouldn't be as big of a problem. Things an individual can do include consuming less, using contraceptives, and well, just spreading the message. Overpopulation is something to be concerned about. The negative effects that it bears on the countries are devastating and make the future look grim. But maybe if everyone in the world made an effort to combat overpopulation and spread the message, the future could look great. And as always, thanks for watching.